Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ahead of the Curve podcast, season 1, episode number 9.
Alrighty.
Well, hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. Welcome to Ahead of the Curve podcast. My name is Krystal, and this is
Tengwa.
Awesome. Well, we're excited you guys are with us. So we've got a very interesting podcast tonight that we wanted to share with you because we've been getting some questions in regards to what it is that we do. So just give us 1 second.
I think we're getting a little bit of feedback from our YouTube. Yeah, hello?
Alrighty, awesome. We are back on track here. Alrighty, guys, once again, welcome. So as I was saying, we have a very awesome podcast for you this evening. We've been having a lot of questions, and so we wanted to clarify a few things and really dig into what Ahead of the Curve podcast actually really is. So we're gonna just talk a little bit of shop here real quick, but how's COVID-19 going for you, Ten?
With the face mask. Where's yours?
Oh, I got my face mask right here. Boom. If you need a face mask, 4th of July coming up, So if you need a face mask, join us at
MakosaShops.com, guys.
Awesome. All right, go ahead.
So we wanted to talk about the story of Behind the Curve podcast, guys. And so, or formerly known as Coffee with Coach K. And so do you want to talk a little bit about, how you got started and how we transitioned into this current format?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Coffee with Coach K was actually created to interview and learn from some of the best coaches throughout the country. So we started with that. We started learning about what made these coaches successful and what made athletes successful. And so we interviewed coaches, athletes, and officials. And, Ten and I were actually talking about this the other day in regards to, okay, they're successful, but what about like everyday families? What could we do for them? So we thought of, and that's where we got ahead of the curve, is interviewing business owners who have been successful in their ventures and being able to bring that back to the households of, the average person. So we wanted to make sure that they would be able to understand some of the things that they might not know. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but do you want to emphasize anything?
I think starting from inception, right, is obviously the mentorship cycle goes back and forth. And so some of these young adults now that you coached went on to become, hardworking citizens across America, across the world. And, just kind of watching a few episodes in your Zoominars of you actually working with these young men and women, whether it was helping them to just kind of figure out how they negotiate for a job, how they pay for their taxes.
Yep.
And then also us just, going through life and actually learning new things, whether it's how you start a business, etc.
Yep. So what we want to do is we just kind of want to talk about why it was actually created, as we're kind of elaborating here. But our vision is to share with people around the world the tools and know-hows so they will be able to manifest their growth in the various areas of their adult life while facing the 4th industrial revolution. Now, I'm going to have, I know it's a lot, but I'm going to have you talk a little bit, Coach Ten, a little bit about more about why we got started. So you can talk about the continuous growth.
So yeah, I mean, kind of going back is, the mentorship cycle, right? So Coach K and I have both, coached, mentored kids that have gone on to be successful either through high school, through college, and I've actually gone out and started working, right? And so to me, I've always believe that the mentorship cycle starts where you help somebody that's less proficient and more often than not younger than you. But then as you mentor them, they learn certain proficiencies, and then they come back and actually give you more, or at least from a personal standpoint is what I've experienced. And so in me growing individually and helping others grow, they've actually turned around and helped me grow. So that growth continuous curve is, pretty much at the stem of the head of the curve, rather than, kind of just having this, curve that kind of tails out and phases out. We wanted to have a podcast that helped people to continuously grow in all facets of their life that we're going to cover here in a minute.
Awesome. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about too was that, so many times people with my business, I get people who call me when they're going through a crisis. Instead of having something ahead of time, they always call on the back end. So it's almost like, getting car insurance and after you've gotten in a car accident doesn't make any sense. So we wanted to help people learn about different facets of different things that they can utilize that will help them stay ahead of the curve, that when those crises do happen, they have something to help them preventatively to sometimes even keep you from getting into that crisis, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So just a few examples.
Like the home warranty, if a fridge goes out, you don't want to drop $1,000 to $2,000 on that stainless steel, double door, triple layered bad boy, right?
Exactly.
So, or hey, you know what? Stuff happens. A lot of people are getting furloughed due to the COVID-19 crisis. And so how do you pivot your career? How do you shift from going and then maybe, you kind of went to college and jumped into a career so that you could make a life for yourself. Now, how do you pivot that? Do you try and chase your dream? And what does your dream job look like? Are you even getting in front of a mentor or a subject matter expert that can give you some of the bells and whistles of what you can expect?
Yeah, I mean, you sign contracts, marriage certificates in this case.
Oh my goodness.
You sign contracts that you sometimes wish you wouldn't have signed. Not that one. Okay. But you might get sick. Do you have health insurance? Do you have life insurance? Do you have car insurance? Do you have these things that will preventively help you? So we just wanted to broaden this for everybody to take a look at some of the things that they may not know, or maybe they do know, and we'll get into that in a minute again, as I mentioned earlier. But why are life's tools important? I think this is a really big one to understand why we're doing this podcast. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so obviously it helps give us productivity, efficiency. It saves us a lot of time and money. And number one, all of us, can solve problems that we couldn't solve. That's what tools are. Whether, you need somebody that is well-versed in personal injury, or you need a personal injury attorney, right? So maybe you've got a problem at your workplace that involves an injury and you don't know how to kind of go about it, and you don't want to feel stuck.
Right.
And so
I want to say something to that real quick. So, I've interviewed a lot of very successful people, and one of the things that I've noticed is a pattern of they don't waste a lot of time trying to figure everything out. They utilize different people in those professions to help them, so that way they're not wasting so much time trying to learn everything and do everything themselves, such as pool cleaning or cleaning a home or whatnot. So you can do more of your business side or your profession and not have to worry about all these different things yourself.
Or Jack Ma not worrying about SQL when he started
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So and we want to make our daily lives easier. That's the goal here is, We want that, old or young, anyone from any walk of life to worry less and live more. Because as we transition as adults, we become more proficient in certain areas, and maybe sometimes we don't have time, maybe sometimes we don't have expertise. So that's kind of like, the tools and everything that we want to share.
Awesome. Awesome. So what is the difference between knowledge and know-how?
Oh,
so I know I'm going to let you talk about the taxes, TurboTax.
Yeah. So when we go to college, right? So I'm an engineer by trade. So when I went to college, I never really learned about taxes. I didn't even, I mean, everyone knows we're supposed to pay taxes, right? Otherwise, the IRS is going to come knocking on your door and take some of your stuff. But on another note, when you get out, how do you pay for taxes? And everyone usually goes, oh, I'm just going to get TurboTax and that's it. We don't know how to, number one, find the right CPA. We don't know how, what filing what type of filing we want to file for. Especially if you get out and you don't really get that dream job, you don't really get that W-2, and you get a 1099 instead as an independent contractor, and you have to pay your own taxes, and you end up not reporting it, and then you get that nasty letter from the IRS. Shout out to Miss Kelly Gwen. Do check out Kelly Gwen. We had her on our podcast. I'm gonna throw the link up somewhere there.
Yeah, we'll put it in a minute. Awesome. So, and then a little bit about the Mission Enforce Foundation. So, we, one of the major things that the Mission Enforce, I wanted to talk about them specifically because they take kids through an entrepreneurship program. They take them through life skills programs. And, it's one thing to know how to ride a bike or learning how to ride a bike, but it's another thing in knowing how to ride the bike where you're doing it effortlessly.
I've seen that where you've got the 4 quadrants. One, first you raise awareness to what a bike is, and then they kind of know what a bike looks like.
Exactly.
And then they kind of know what the function of the bike is.
Exactly.
And then quadrant 4, finally they know how to ride the bike.
Exactly. And what I wanted to say to this is we have so many young people that are growing up now and don't even know how to like change a tire on a car, or don't know how to chop a tree to make firewood, and so all these little life skills things, the difference between knowledge and knowing that you need it to the actually know how to actually doing it and it becoming just natural. So we wanted to talk about those. But we also wanted to talk about the 4th industrial revolution that we talked about earlier. Why is this so pertinent? And what? Let's read that quote. You want to read it for me?
The World Economic Forum states that we stand on the brink of a technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. I think that's huge. In its scale, scope, and complexity, the transformation will be unlike anything humankind has experienced before.
We do not yet know just how it will unfold, but one thing is clear: the response to it must be integrated and comprehensive, involving all stakeholders of the global polity, from public and private sectors to academia and civil society.
Ooh, I like that.
I think this is huge because we definitely are going into that 4th industrial revolution, that technological revolution, should we say, that is changing every single day. Would you agree with me?
Shout out to Schwab 2016. Absolutely, I agree with you.
All right. So go ahead.
Yeah, who's ahead of the curve podcast? Who are our audience? Everyone from all walks of life. Okay, so everyone that is just aspiring to grow, whether it's from a personal development level, whether it's, when you get done with your work and you get home, how do you, number one, make your house into a happy home, right?
Exactly.
And so that's huge for us. And more importantly, how do you take care of your finances, your financial well-being, etc.? We'll talk all about that later. I think
actually in the next slide.
It is. Oh, okay, awesome. So, I didn't want to jump the gun.
No, it's all good. So our next question is, what categories does Ahead of the Curve podcast touch upon? And these are some of the things. And so whenever you're watching our podcasts, you're going to be seeing different business owners mainly business owners that we are interviewing, and not to be like selling to you, but we want to make sure that you are aware of what they do, how it works, the difference between a financial planner, a financial analyst, a financial banker. I mean, all these different things, right? So we wanted to make sure that everybody understands all these different facets, and they can watch our podcast and learn from each one. So career and business, just a few of these.
Yeah, so pretty much for your career in business, what kind of legal protection do you have? What professional growth are you looking at? If you're a business, what kind of business development? How are you getting started? What's your marketing look like? As a brand, how are you growing your brand, which is huge for any business? And what's the difference between salary and income? I think that's something that for me, I never quite learned going to engineering. You just learn how to solve complex problems. Half the time we're imaginary, half the time we're really complex, we're real world problems. And so I think sometimes there's a disconnect between college and the real world, because in the real world, the first thing you need to learn is what type of salary and income you're going to be making. Exactly. And if you're a salesperson, even if you're an engineering salesperson, are you making commission? Are you in a subscription-based commission, or is it just a large percentage one and done type of deal? So the types of income as well, are you making active or passive, residual?
Exactly. Yep. Override.
Doing your taxes, we already talked about that. What resources are there for career and business pivoting, development? And what's your exit plan? And I think that one is huge. The more I talk to successful golfers who owned a business or worked at a company, they always had an exit strategy, and that exit strategy dictated what their career path or business path was like.
Awesome. I want to go over a little bit about the individual and personal growth, because for me, one of my biggest things that I like to talk about is personal development. And so we go into, in our podcast, we are pushing towards individual personal growth as well. So you've got skills development, education. We're going to be talking about in a few podcasts from now. You've got fitness, time management, identity theft. Identity theft is the fastest growing crime in North America, out surpassing drug trafficking right now. Whoa. How many people, have some type of identity theft help, health and wellness, mentorship, communication, communicating, and then communication also in the home. So if we go to Happy Home here, individual personal growth, networking. Networking is so huge. And so we just had Miss Paula Wells, shout out to Miss Paula Wells.
Networking tycoon.
She was a networking tycoon. If you guys haven't seen that podcast, check her out. We'll put it in below as well. And then you've got all these other things: estate planning, home purchase, home warranties, different types of insurance.
Hey, shout out to Keith.
Health.
Keith.
Yes,
Keith around with the home warranties.
Definitely. Life with Eric Gurr. I mean, you guys have to watch some of these to understand what we're talking about. But there's just so much: financial well-being, accounting, mortgage brokers, life insurance, health insurance, disability, retirement.
Do you want a security system in your happy home?
Exactly. So like all these different things that we hope to encompass in Ahead of the Curve to be able to help you and our viewers be able to have more knowledge on the how-tos of their daily lives. So that explains a little bit more about what we do. So what are the questions that Ahead of the Curve asks their guests, and why are these particular questions important? We wanted to cover these just simply because we think that it's important for you to understand our format so you know what the questions entail.
Okay.
So let's go over these questions real quick. All right.
So number one, who is our guest speaker? So the format is, when the speaker comes in, we kind of love to introduce them. That way, off the bat, our viewers at home kind of know who they're dealing with. Number one, what's their background story? Where did they come from, and where they're at now, and where they're going? So I think that's always huge to kind of read the bio.
Awesome. I think it's very important too for number two, how has your business been affected during the pandemic, working from home, for example? But this is huge because what if the pandemic gets, sorry, like keeps going? I don't want to say worse, but what if it keeps going? Or
Mm.
what if there's another incident in society that keeps us from being able to go to work? How are they affected during this time? So we want to make sure that we dig a little bit deeper and actually find out how they're doing. So that's huge.
Yeah. So this one's my favorite is what are the key factors that make your business successful, right?
Mhm.
So we're really success driven because we believe a lot of people that are successful take into consideration their accomplishments and not their activity. And the two are different, right? And you should never replace activity for accomplishment. And so as you go through and kind of go into the other episodes 1 through 8, I think you will see that there is a common ground of
Mhm.
successful people, and one of the key factors is they are always accountable to their accomplishments and not only driven by their activity. Because sometimes it's kind of like the old yardage, right? Just
Mhm.
because you're walking around in a circle, you can cover 10 miles,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean that you've actually progressed
Right, right.
north side.
So in other words, being productive, not just busy.
Correct.
Awesome, awesome.
I like
So
mine way better. It was
I
fancy,
know, right?
smancy.
I know, right?
Should have just water it
All
down.
right. So another thing that we'd like to talk about is number four, how do you stay ahead of the curve in your day-to-day business? So after interviewing so many successful people, another facet that I've seen them have is their daily disciplines. So how do they actually schedule their day? What are some of the practices that they do in their daily lives? Are they, do they do yoga? Do they exercise? Do they drink water? All these different things that make people successful. So that is a big question to ask them. Number five, how does your company help the average American stay ahead of the curve? So we want to make sure that our viewers understand how each of these companies can help you or help somebody that you know. It may, whatever we're presenting for that evening of the podcast, it may or may not be for you, but you'll be a little bit more knowledgeable to be able to share with other people who might need it. Maybe you heard that they needed it and you've got somewhere you can go for it. Number six, how do clients monitor their growth when using your services? So,
I think number 6 is huge because when, like, for example, when we had Jean Paul Olson, shout out to my man Jean Paul, who
mhm,
is a financial planner. One of the things he talked about was a software package
mhm,
that kind of helped people kind of see where they were at along their retirement exit plan.
mhm,
And so, and one of the sayings that he kind of used that gripped me was starting a career
mhm,
without a plan
mhm,
financially is like telling someone they're going to run a race,
mhm,
but they don't know how long the race is, right?
mhm,
And so they don't know whether or not it's a 100-meter dash. Is it 400? Do they have to go around the lap? Is
mhm,
this a marathon? Do they got to cover all 22 miles of the track? And so I think monitoring your growth or monitoring your progress, again, we talked about progress, we talked about accomplishments, monitoring those things versus activities, I think is a key cornerstone to getting ahead of the curve in any aspect of your life, be it, I call it the chief, right?
mhm.
So your career, your home, individually, and finally financially.
Mm, good stuff. Yeah, I think, we were talking the other day in regards to, we used to have like a checklist of everything we needed to do throughout the day. Well, that was good, but were those all money making activities or were they like, kind of staggered? So just really,
That was huge.
yeah, just definitely getting to monitor how you're monitoring your growth every day. Um, how does the average Joe Jill get started using your services? Now, this one, we can talk about the different companies and the different things that those companies do. And when we're talking with our guests who come on, people want to know how to get a hold of them. So we make sure that you're able to see, how to get a hold of them. If you have any questions, everybody's been willing to just answer any questions you have as well as our guests. So
awesome. So yeah, you're doing a better job
Okay,
than
number
I
8
am.
then. Whatever. What online resources or technology does one need to get started with your services? So
Yeah, I mean, and this is huge because the online resource, I mean, trying to keep up with the fourth industrial revolution, right? The androids are coming, or Terminator, Kyle Reese and John Connor. So my whole thing is software, tools, that's huge because those are the things that are going to kind of the technological resources is where we're heading, right? And I think the way we position ourselves and the way our kids position themselves and learning how to bring value using technology and resources rather than just raw human skills is going to be the way forward for the future. Because think about it, nowadays, like for the example, the post office had 50 workers. Now it's run only by a 5-man skeleton crew, right? So 45 people lost their job. Wow. So those guys either got to learn how to do something technology based or be in fear of being left behind.
Exactly. And everybody's getting apps now. I mean, everybody has an app.
Everyone
for
has
something.
An app.
So if
you don't have an app that's disruptive,
app,
you're behind.
Definitely. So make sure you guys get your apps done. We'll post down below too how you guys can get an app as well.
Yep.
Also, do you have any example of any clients you have helped get ahead of the curve? I think this one's huge because a lot of people want to know how that person has helped, their clients. They always say that in order to utilize somebody's services or company, you want to make sure that like, and trust that person, especially if they're going to be somebody coming into your home. So we make sure that those people are vetted. We actually utilize their services ourselves, and we create that testimony. We create that testimony for them, but we also have other people that they've utilized their services as well to make sure that you guys get to see that. The last one that we have here, how can the viewers get a hold of you if they wanted a quote of your services? And once again, we already spoke on that. So those are definitely the good
So this is a viewer-oriented podcast, guys. So we want to service the viewers. So either we're educating you guys or we're bringing something new to you guys or we're trying to engage you guys. So definitely, if you have any questions with any of our staff, leave it in the comment. We do have follow-up sessions, and that way we're going to bring people back so we kind of continue the story and the conversation.
Most definitely. Awesome. Well, we just want to, we don't want to forget, please like and subscribe to our podcast. We are on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. And then we're also here on YouTube Live on Thursday evenings.
Yeah.
So please like and subscribe.
And we're going to give you guys a 5-second window starting in 3, 2, 1. Like and subscribe. All righty, guys. So special thanks to our sponsors, ID Shield and Independent Associates. And definitely,
helping to protect your most valuable asset, your good name. Makosa Shops, make sure you guys get your face masks.
Face masks.
Helping you protect yourself during these times. And then Makosa Golf, helping you with all your golf needs from instruction to charity events and everything in between. So we hope you guys have a great evening. Until next time, this is Ahead of the Curve podcast. You guys have a great evening.
All righty, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.